Good day, hello. Is the crowd there? Yeah. Well, welcome to Legends and Leapers. How many people here has watched the Legend and Leapers virtually? Great, great. And then for you all that are in the back, feel free to come up. This is going to be some information that you want to hear. If you want to be a part of the real talk, that's what we're about to get into. So Ricky, do you want to start off telling us about Legends and Leapers before I go into the bios?
Sure. So first of all, good afternoon. So how are we doing?
All right.
Okay. It'd be nice if you had a drink in front of you, right? That would be a little better. Don't worry, you're gonna get enough of that in. So this idea of Legends and Leapers is an attempt on our part to kind of add some levity to what would otherwise be a rather serious discussion. We have, I don't want to call the person old, but the legend is someone who's been around for a while, rather established in his or her career, someone that people kind of look to as like a mentor or an icon. And Leaper is not necessarily somebody young, but it's someone who hasn't been around as long in his or her career, or is working her way up, still trying to make a mark on their career on this industry. And so we try to bring them together with the hopes that when we ask them a question, they might have a slightly difference of opinion because of their perspective, because of their experience. That doesn't always happen. Sometimes it does. Most times it doesn't. So the tricky thing is, we have a dress rehearsal, but we don't go for questions. We don't give them the questions in advance. As a matter of fact, I was just telling them, I still don't know what my first question is going to be. I'm still trying to figure out what the first question is going to be. And so when Mori goes through the introductions, maybe something will come to me. And we'll go from there. Again, the questions are not too serious. This is about having a little bit of fun, but at the same time, we hope you leave inspired, intrigued, as someone says something that perhaps you haven't heard before, or they might confirm something that you've been thinking for some time. So that's what Legends and Leapers is all about. It's a hit on social media, well, at least on the video version, and we'll stand over here for autographs after. So you guys might want to follow me for the lifestyle. Mori's going to do introductions.
Okay, well, we have two amazing Legends and Leapers. I'm going to start off with the bio of our Leaper, Miss Lauren Miller. And so Lauren, she is a graduate of Howard University, HU. Okay. She is an entrepreneur and a business owner. She currently serves as a director of business development at Miller 3 Consulting, a second-generation management consulting firm founded by her father in 1986. So second generation, not just a part of her family's business, but running her family's business with her brother. So Miller 3 Consulting, the firm specializes in working with public and private sector clients on opportunity creation, inclusive policy initiatives within procurement, agriculture, healthcare, and entertainment. Lauren is, as I mentioned, also an entrepreneur. So she went from her entrepreneurship journey now to help her family's business, and we'll get a little bit more into that. So Lauren, thank you for being here. Okay.
Thank you for having me.
So now we're going to go into the legend that we all know and love, Mr. John Clark. Yay! And we can see his team here, like, representing, supporting. John Clark is a highly accomplished senior airport executive and with extensive first-hand knowledge of airport operations across North America. Having served as the director of 3 U.S. airports, in his role as Senior Vice President of Business Development, Airports, and Airlines, John serves as a key executive interface between American and Canadian Airlines and SSP America. He will be a liaison with airport executives, various industry. He is a liaison with airport executives and various industry liaisons. John previously served as the president and manager of J. Clark Consulting Group, LLC, where he designed and implemented 100 million public-private partnerships, P3, as we know it, program for management and workforce development at Gary Chicago International Airport. Prior to his consulting company, John served as the director of Indianapolis Airport Authority, as well as the CEO and director of Jacksonville Aviation Airport, and the CEO for the city of Detroit. So John has a very, very extensive background, not just as an airport VP of one of the largest airport concessions company, but directors of airports and an entrepreneur. So John, thank you so much for being here.
I see this is going to be interesting because I don't even get to control the microphone. It would only be worse if Lauren was here, but she's not. So here's my first question. Don't be scared. Okay. So you see this audience out here, right? So I want you to find, look at everybody, and I want you to tell them why you're the right person to be on Legends and Leaders.
I'm the right person to be on Legend. Well, I mean, oh really? I mean, listen, you done set the stage, so I gotta come with it, right? Okay. I'm the right person to be on Legends and Leapers because I'm a leader. I understand stewardship, I understand legacy, I understand the foundation of standing on the shoulders of our legends, right? And continuing what they have done and honoring them. And so I also feel like my vision and my ambition to lead my father's company into the next, I guess, decade. We're 37 years in. And then also just understanding the concept of family business and the business of the family. And just continuing that legacy. And I've been all around the world. I've started my own businesses. I've been to over 50 countries. I've done a lot of destination marketing. And I'm well versed. And I'm a Howard mom. Okay. I can finish with it.
Okay. Check.
John just answered that.
Okay, you want John to answer. Okay, so why is he fit for Legend?
No. You're looking at the crowd and you have to help them understand why is John Clark on Legends and Leaders? That's a really good question.
I think it's because I've been around for so long. I think I know most of the people in the industry. Just to try to get a good familiar face up here and hopefully have some fun. And quite a little bit of experience and knowledge that I've gained along the way. I love Lauren's response. It almost felt like being on a Miss USA or Miss America pageant thing. Here's the first and final question, the fourth and final question. She hit it. Really, I really hope to be able to have a good conversation up here and have some fun. And out of that, maybe somebody can take something away from it.
Thank you. So I want to get right into it. So Lauren, I'm clearly third generation of my family's business. You're second generation. And as I mentioned, she's an entrepreneur. So, I mean, she has had travel luxury brand. And I know, when your father was really in his final stages, he pulled you and your brother in and taught y'all what y'all needed to know to take over his business. Like, what has that been like? Being an entrepreneur and then saying, I have to put this on pause so that I can build what my family built. Tell us about that.
It's a challenge. I think you have your inherited responsibility, right? And then you have your own sets of dreams and aspirations and goals. And I think when my father came to me, it was very hard for me to accept it at the time. I was building my travel lifestyle brand. I was out in the world traveling and kind of forging my own path. But he just helped me to understand just the importance of family and legacy. And he was like, Lauren, secure this 30-plus-year business. What you're doing is great, and it's going to add value to what we have here. But secure this. This can be an ATM for you when you're sitting in Baltimore. And it was like, at the time, I'm like, you know, you ready to be an entrepreneur, now you telling me I got to stop, right? But in hindsight, it's like, I'm so grateful that I listened, that I wasn't hard-headed, right? Because now I can pursue any other entrepreneurial endeavors, and I'm also taken care of, right? So it gave me the free range to be able to pursue my entrepreneurial endeavors, and I'm just a way better businesswoman now, right? But it is a challenge, so I tell, you know, parents who have businesses, it's like, you know, really start to have those conversations with your kids early on. What does that look like? And there's various different dynamics, right? You can be an owner and not an operator. I just happen to be both. I would prefer just to be an owner. That's what my kids will be. But it's a beautiful thing, and I carry it with pride, right? It's an honor, right? And I think it's also an honor to be able to empower other people, right? I am potentially be your future kids, right? It's possible. So walking that possibility and empower others is a beautiful thing, and I don't take it lightly.
Lauren, I love that. And one statement I want to say off of what you said is the level of pride that you have, like knowing where you come from, you know, so I can really, really appreciate that. And John, it's a different question. Thank you. It's a different question for you. So you went from airport director, here, there, tons of experience, clearly on all sides of the aviation. And then to go from there to a consulting company, and then now be top VP at SSP, like, how did you transition from those roles and entrepreneurship and then say, this is where I want to be at right now? Like, what was the logic behind that?
So I got into the business not by accident, and I know a lot of people get into airport business by accident, but I grew up in an airport. My uncle worked for the Airlines, and on the weekends I'd get picked up and find myself in an airport. Just kind of, that was a way of getting babysat, right, at that time. And I just loved the business. I didn't know that I would ultimately end up there, but it got in my blood. And so when I went to school, I was purposeful about trying to be in the field of aviation. And let me say I was very blessed and fortunate that I had people in my life that took an interest in me and helped me pave a way into the business. So all of the steps that I took moving around was to try to gain more and more experience, because I learned along the way that people can get at airports or any position in life, and if you stay there, you don't really grow the same way. You have to change the environment to realize the experience you got from the last environment, and then you get growth that way. So I moved around a lot, took different airport jobs because I wanted to grow, be the best that I could be in this particular profession. And then my last, when I got to Indianapolis, you know, I was at a good place, I thought, and I got crossways of the politics, and, you know, they said, hey, we're going in a different direction. You might need to think about going in a different direction as well. But again, another learning opportunity. And I had a mentor that told me, look, you've been doing airports for 30 years. Why don't you try to do something different? And so I started a consulting practice. And the largest client I had at that time was Gary, the Airport Authority in Gary. And then SSP was also one of my clients. And it was very different getting out there, kind of trying to figure out how to do it on my own. It took a little bit. My expectations were that, you know, I had all this airport experience, but how to translate that and actually monetize it was a big learning curve for me. And, you know, the thing that I've learned through that process is while I thought really good relationships, those relationships didn't necessarily get me the contracts that I thought I would have. Like I said, so it was an adjustment to try to figure that out. But I did that, and SSP was working on a project in Chicago, and I started working on that project with them, and that then led to an opportunity to actually go to work with a company full time, because owning your own company as a small business and trying to support the livelihoods of other people is a different kind of pressure. And I had a partner that was ready to start a family, and you know, the business really couldn't afford that, so we had to try to figure out, you know, a way to make that happen, which meant at the end of the day, as the owner of the company, there wasn't very much money actually coming to me. It was there supporting the business and supporting my partner then, and you know, like I said, when the SSP opportunity came along, I had to measure that and say, you know, what works best for my long-term future, as well as my family's future. So owning a business is really, really good. And those of you who are entrepreneurs and successfully have grown your business, I applaud you, because it is not an easy road to hold when you have the responsibility of other people's lives, you know, in the decisions you make.
So both of you still have a lot of career ahead of you. Well, John, for you to be by choice. Lauren, I think whether you choose to or not, you really work for a while. But if you were to stop today, if you just cut it off today, what would people say about you? What would your legacy be? What would they say about you?
I think they would say that I was fearless and courageous to create the life that I wanted, and I used my diverse set of experiences to inspire, empower, and educate others. Yeah.
Would you feel good about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think so, because I think for me, I have this goal to like impact at least 250 million people before I'm gone. Right? And so whether that's through something I say or something I've inspired or put them on to, is just really being able to change people's lives, right? And I also just recognize that I was exposed to a lot of different experiences that can just enlighten others. And so using my privileges to help other people has been the root of all of what I've done. So I will be satisfied.
Yeah, I think I would hope people would say, first and foremost, that I lived a life that always tried to help other people, unconditionally help other people. I think people would say John enjoyed his life to the fullest. I would hope people would say that I was a God-fearing man, even though I do, you know, some crazy stuff out there. I hope my legacy would be that, like I said, at the end of the day, I impacted a number of people in this business in a very positive way.
We would say both. We would say for both of you all that would be the statement. But you know, John, you said something that was interesting about, you know, when you went on your entrepreneurship journey, you expected or thought like, hey, I've got great relationships, I can, you know, get this deal and that deal and make this work. Like, can you help us understand? Because I think a lot of us think that way. Like, okay, I got the relationships, I can go do this on my own. Can you explain, like, why that the relationships didn't just make that happen? And, like, how do you make relationships turn into business, real business opportunities?
Relationship building and doing business are two different skill sets. I think that people who understand how to monetize their experience and really translate that to a business are the people who actually can make good use of those experiences. And so, for me, my challenge was, like I said, I knew a lot of people. I was used to people coming to me for opportunity, and it's different when you're going out and seeking opportunity. And being able to really articulate how you can help somebody and make money, it takes a little time. It takes learning a skill to do that. The good news is that I did have a couple of people along the way that actually said, hey, I want to help you out, you know, and gave me some consulting opportunities. And once you get a few, then you have a little bit of a resume, and then you can go get some more. So then you can start using those relationships to open the doors and begin to better articulate how you can help them. But I'm going to tell you, I was a person, like I said, that would get up every morning, go to the office, and now I didn't have to go to an office. I was working from my home until I could afford to get an office. And It's just a very different experience than being in a public sector where you have lots of infrastructure around you, lots of people that you can say, hey, I need you to do this, I need you to do this, and now it's me saying to me, John, you got to do this, right? And then you got to be able to do invoices. So you do all this service, you're working, and you forgot to like set up an invoice system so you can actually get paid, because nobody's just going to pay you. So, yeah, it was quite a learning opportunity for me. So that's why I say anybody who is an entrepreneur and in business for themselves, I have the utmost respect for. It's not easy.
So, John, you and I are pretty close, and so we share secrets. Lauren, you recognize me as the guy that you can share secrets with, right? You don't know that. Well, I want to expand this. So I want you to tell all of my close friends out there something about you that they don't know.
I started flying by myself at 5 years old. Flying by myself at 5 years old. My dad was my custodial parent and yeah, I was awake. My father was my custodial parent in Atlanta, but my mom worked in the building administration in DC. So they used to ping pong back and forth from a child. So I remember when you could still come to the gate. And that's the reason why I started a travel business when I became an adult, because being in the airport was like something like going to the park. Yeah. So that's something.
Something. I have a really terrible golf game, but you wouldn't just I have a really terrible golf game, but I actually love the game. I truly love the game. And those that have ever played golf with me.
That's generally known.
You think so? And you bet your money.
Yeah, I do bet. I actually bet on games, yeah, on shots, and it's hilarious because sometimes it gets pretty intense on those bets. And I actually think I can pull off a shot.
Okay, yes.
So let's do this. So let's get a question from the audience.
So we're moving to the audience already?
We haven't done that before.
Okay, does anyone have a question off the bat? All right, we'll come back to that.
Because Bill Susan about this.
No, I want to ask Lauren, because as y'all see, she is a young, beautiful black woman, right? And her brother are leading their family's company, going to meet with airports, etc. How have you been able to navigate, just being so young, black woman, like how has that been in a male-dominated, and I would think usually white male-dominated space?
Well, I just mentioned my father was my custodial parent since I was 5 years old, right? So being raised by a father really prepared me to be in rooms with men and how to carry myself. And I think also just understanding my legacy and my history, I walk with a purpose. There's nothing that you can really do to pump me. You know what I mean? I feel like any room that I'm in, I'm supposed to be there. Even if I don't know it, or there's things that I'm learning. So I don't ever move like in a timid way. You know what I mean? So I think that has been something that has added to my success, because there's a certain level of confidence and sureness in my ability and my value and what I can bring to the table. But of course, patriarchy is real, you know what I mean? But I understand that it exists. I'm not gonna harp on it or let it knock me down, but I like it. I like business, you know what I mean? I was raised, I keep on going back to that, but I was raised by a businessman, so it's a game. So the art of persuasion, so it's not anything that I get timid or feel defeated by.
So what does scare you?
I think what scares me is not living up to the potential that God blessed me with. Yeah, it's that's the least I can do, so.
I wouldn't say it scares me anymore, but once upon a time in my life, the thing that I probably agitated me the most was not really living up to the potential that I knew that I had. And kind of retrospectively, there were some moments in my life where I was afforded opportunities and didn't really fully understand and appreciate the opportunity that was being afforded to me, and therefore I didn't take full advantage of it. So the fear was, failing and not recognizing that opportunity.
So for you all, I like that both of y'all's fear is not living up to your full potential, which I think is a great fear to have. So where do you find the difference of, going to get it, kind of going to get it, grinding, and then also being like, okay, this isn't for me. Let me, I don't have to, I like to say it's like not striving, but striving. Like where do you find that balance?
I think for me, I got to a certain age in life where I didn't feel like I needed to prove anything anymore, and so I became very comfortable in my own right. And to Lauren's point, I don't think there's an environment that I can go into and don't feel like I'm okay. But when I was younger, it was always trying to prove that I should be here, which was really about an insecurity in my own right? But then you fail enough and you're able to pick yourself up and keep going and get some successes, then you kind of get to a point in your life where look, it doesn't matter. Put it in front of me. We're going to work it out. One way or the other, we're going to work it out. And I'm not going to fail at working it out. And you just get a sense of comfort, and that's because you really know who you are by that time. And I think for me, it was an age of maturity.
And what time was that? Like, when did you come to that? Because I can admit I've struggled with not even noticing it, but I'm trying to prove myself. So.
It came late in life. So when I got basically fired from Indianapolis, I was shocked because I had never been fired. I've never in my life up until that point been asked to leave. And always when I said I was going to leave, people were saying, no, stay. We'll give you more money. We can do this for you, but we don't want you to go, right? And in this case, I actually got pushed out. And so it kind of rocked my world in terms of my confidence and my abilities, because I thought, I did a really good job for Indianapolis. But there were some other things that worked. And, I believe things happen in a season for a reason. And I think I probably just got too confident in that sense and not really relying on my faith and who I am as a person at core. So it was a great learning opportunity for me. But like I said, at this point in my life, there's not an environment or situation that would like to share.
I think at our age, we're constantly seeing images of our peers and what other people are doing, and that, your money-making years, late 30s into your 50s, and so all of these things, and so it can be hard to balance in the pavement every single day. But I think, for me, a balance is needed. Like, I lost my father 5 years ago, so I've had to learn how to take care of myself, right? And dealing with burnout, and so those things are even my health. It's just not something that I can just push off, right? And so what's the use of having these things if I can't function? You know what I mean? And so I think for me, I've removed myself from the typical rat race, and so my idea of success is not necessarily a number or a car or things like that, which I think a lot of people may, aspire to. And so I think because my goals look differently, I don't have the same type of pressures, that I think a lot of people operate under. But I'm in my 30s, so of course I'm seeing people on social media. We're very much locked in, and we get to see how people live everywhere, which is something that wasn't the case for previous generations. You saw people on your street, at school, you come home. But we get to see people all over and what wealth can spend, and so it can kind of get you like, okay, I gotta wake up, I gotta keep going. But I've been able to find a balance. And take care of myself, because I want to be around for a long, long time. Yeah.
So there was a point in my life where I had this idea of running a nightclub. I actually tried to buy a nightclub. And if
so now y'all can see what he's really into. What was this, Ricky?
I'm a moderator.
Was this before Baltimore, Detroit? Like, give us was this in your 30s or 40s?
No. So if I wasn't running an airport or doing what I'm doing now, I'd probably be running a nightclub or two, right? Because it's something that I think I would enjoy. If you weren't doing what you're doing, what would you be doing?
Probably a flower farmer. Yeah. Well, I come from an agriculture family. My family have been farmers for 140 years. And so I've always loved land and plants, and so don't want to do row cropping, which is what we come from, but I love the beauty of flowers. And I get flowers every 2 weeks. I have about 8 bouquets up in my home. So yeah, if I wasn't running the business, I would be picking and growing flowers.
I think I would be a Formula One driver. I really enjoy speed, control speed. I enjoy control speed, like very fast cars, very fast boats, things that make your adrenaline like just go to the edge and think, you know, any little mishap that could end it all, but that's just, you know. So it got me in a lot of trouble once upon a time, so now I don't have any cars. Oh, that's right.
Yeah. I've seen him on a jet ski and like he was gonna flip it over. I know. You know, back to what y'all were speaking about too, with just the balance, right? So, just as professionals, where is the balance with your personal life, your family, like you say, your health? Like, and John, for you, has that been something, if it is today, has that been something you've always been aware of, or did it come at a certain time? And same with you.
So for me, in my early career, I always said I wanted family first, but the reality was I was grinding, trying to be successful as a career, and that meant missing some soccer games and some things with my kids. You know, you can't get that stuff back, but I wasn't in balance, and it took a marriage to kind of figure some of that out. But now I would say that recognizing the importance of living home and family, you just make those things, and they're not sacrifices. You just do it because it's the right thing to do. Because at the end of the day, for me, because I don't own the company, I'm an employee of the company. You know, they can tell me tomorrow that we need to go different ways, but my family still needs to be there. So it came at a late point in my life that I recognized that. But I would never, if I had to go back and do it again, I would definitely have better balance between that work life and home.
I think for me, I'm not a mother or a wife yet, so I think balance for me is taking care of myself and knowing when to clock out. You know, I think as an entrepreneur and business owner, you know you can be doing something pertaining to your business 24/7. And so sometimes you have to get really good with your boundaries when you're taking off that armor of being a business owner. I'm very family oriented. Like I would drop, at the drop of the dime, and go fly and see my sister or brothers or siblings. I'm one of 9. I got over 25 first because I come from a very big family and we're very close. And so, you know, luckily because I am a business owner, I do have the freedom and flexibility to move when needed or if I need to be recharged. But yeah, going to the family farmers where I'm going to just be like, all right, let me tap back into the ancestors and recenter myself. And that's just very important, you know. But I am nervous to see as a woman what that transition looks like for the next phase of life. Yeah, I pray about it.
Pray for us.
So what's your superpower?
my superpower. I think my fearlessness. Yeah. My fearlessness and courageousness. Yeah.
I don't really have a superpower. No, my knees. My knees, I get on my knees and I pray. Yeah, that would be my superpower. I recognize it, it really is about me. I try to stay something like that.
That's the real power. That's the real power. I guess I'll ask this from the leaper side. What's the best advice that any mentor has given you? Mentor someone in your life that is like what you live by, what you keep for, what you share with others. And John, as the legend, what's the piece of advice that you give to your mentees or someone that's coming up as a leader?
You got to be true to yourself. The sooner you can learn who you are and be true to that, I think it makes all the difference in the world, because from that, your confidence is there, your ability to deal with hard situations. And I mean, let's face it, we all can get through good times. It's really the bad times or the challenging moments that define who you are, and you better learn who you are. So if you tap into that and really begin, when you have the next episode in your life, figure out how you really process that. And if you can get a hold of that and learn how to manage through that, I think it serves a lot for whether you're in business or other personal activities in life.
Let me see, advice. I would say, dare to go after the life that you want. You know what I mean? Believe that you can achieve it and dare to do it. Because I think a lot of what we want is on the other side of our belief in ourselves and our ability. So yeah, just believing in myself and really going after what I want and believing that I can get it. You know? So.
It's like, it's one thing to like say something, and then it's another to believe it. Mm-hmm. You know, so.
And vision too.
So, I was ready to see what the crowd had.
We're down to about 10 minutes, and so I see one.
So, yes, Keelan, would you like to? Okay, I want to. Is there someone? Oh, I can walk over. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Knowing a little bit about John, he gave me some great career advice for my career. This was a little different though. So for each of you, because you're at different perspectives in your lives and your careers, for an ordinary day, on the best day that you could possibly have, and this is short of winning the lottery, I'm not asking for that, how does that day look for you? What types of things are you doing in that day that you're really effective?
A work day or a, okay.
A really good work day would mean that I'm on the boat. And I have, my cell phone. And I'm able to talk somebody through some stuff that results in a win for them and for me.
I think for me, I'm working remotely somewhere, and I'm getting notifications of contract awards, and what else? I'm checking my numbers. They looking nice. Margins are nice, and it's like a 2 or 3 hour work day, and I'm going walking out to the beach. Yeah.
2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
I have a question. So my question is, what has business, either working for an airport or running your own business, taught you about yourself?
I can get through any situation, no matter how tough it is. Because I have faced a lot of adversity through my career. I can tell you I went into one job and literally the people were being asked that they actually work for, a person of color, for an African American. And I walked into that situation. And we turned it around, but it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot. I went into another situation where we needed to buy out all the homes in order to extend a runway. And I found myself, in people's homes at 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening trying to explain to them why this was important and what we could do to help them. And I got in a situation where it was, life-threatening. But it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about how to survive. And if you have the confidence, you can work. You can work through anything. You just have to not lose your cool and panic over it. So that's what I would say.
I think being in business has taught me what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. And being okay with that, right? And not trying to force myself to become great at things that are just not what I can do well. And I think in business, it's like I'm a big picture, visionary, brand, marketing, salesperson. Operations, administration, that's just not me. And it's not going to ever be me, right? And so what does that mean for the nature of the business? What do I need to put in place to make sure those things don't get lost in the cracks? But I think in terms of who I am as a person, that I just have the ability to get things done, right? I think being in business development is like to have a meeting that has led to a contract and being like, you really can do this. The art of persuasion, right? Or manifestation, say, I want this. When I go to this conference, this is gonna manifest into 2 contracts within 6 to 12 months. And then that happening, it's like, whoa. And you're able to really feel your power, like your superpower. And so that's been something that's been a blessing, because I think sometimes when you're working for somebody, your efforts, you may not feel them in a magnified way. And so I think that's just helped my confidence in my ability to be sure about my gifts. Yeah.
All right, so this is a question from Lauren. How has AMAC affected you as a young professional, and what attributes do you see as good qualities for a young professional to become a legend?
So I think a couple of things. I was just sharing this earlier that you may not think about this, but this is one of the only places where I'm able to link with other family business professionals. And that's been a beautiful thing for me, being able to find my tribe within the airport industry, right? Because as you know, like, family business professionals, not a lot of us that can really speak to this. So to be able to build that network has been a blessing. And then also just being exposed to just various different ways to do business within this industry has also just opened up my eyes to, other possibilities and opportunities. And it's just sharpening my networking ability and just relationship building. So I think as a young person, it's an amazing place and space to share space with all of these legends here, and to be able to learn from them, and to also see like the future is bright, right? And like it's bright. We're looking at it, and it's probably going to be even brighter for us if we maintain diligent in what we're doing. So.
You guys for being up here. I've been in that seat before, so I know it's hot. So I appreciate you doing it. Succession. I want to know what that is like for actually both of you. Even though you're not working for yourself, you've done this before, and you're working in a different company. You have experience that you get to pass down. So succession to you is different. But I want to know what your mindset is on that. And then you've experienced it from it being passed down, second generation, and then the thought process on how do I keep it going and pass it down to the next generation.
So for me, even going back into my days at the airport, I always wanted to try to find young people that I could impart the opportunity, the knowledge, and give them an opportunity. So one of the things I'm very proud of is when I look out at this industry, there's a number of people that I touched in their career, whether it was giving them their first airport job, or helping them to make it to the next airport job and get a promotion, whether it was helping somebody that was starting off a business and trying to make sure that they got that first contract. So succession to me is really looking at the next generation coming along and trying to figure out how you create a platform for them to either begin or continue to succeed.
I think from a business ownership standpoint, I think it can be very daunting to think about. And I think within our community is always attached to our mortality, which is something I believe that we should not do. And in my case, me and my father were blessed to have 4 years prior to his passing, and he was sick. And so I remember telling people that had he not been sick, we would have never justified spending that much time together. So I recorded our family history. We went through the business, like thought, perspective, like we really went through a process. And I would say, like, I've taught and advocated about this, that the earlier the better, you know what I mean? Because going through that and him being sick, it adds another layer of emotional aspect, because he's on his way out, right? But you're also getting to know this person outside of him just being a parent. And so you're like, Dad, you're on your way out, but I actually want you to meet, you know. So I think, you know, raising stewards starts, you know, here, right? Building your legacy with your children, whether they're going to take over the business or just be an owner or whatever it may be. I think the sooner to start to introduce it, the better. I think there's just a lot of pride in it also too, right? To be able to say, like, this has made it to the next generation. I'm very blessed to come from a family. We've been able to keep land in our family for 140 years, and so it's not a new concept, but I think the actual intentional process, that was the first time it's happened in our lineage, was with me and my father on that time. But I think it's something that we need to talk more about, the preservation of our legacies, beyond just the tangible wealth, right? The stories, what we've done, and who we've helped, who we've impacted. What does that look like for us? And so I've just dived deeper into this area just to learn more about it because of my experience. But yeah, so that would be my 2 cents on it.
Yes. Is there a question? That was not asked? Prepared to ask.
Can you all just leave us with like one final just encouraging message or just something that, you know, the crowd can leave with that y'all really like to give?
I would say be true to yourself, be passionate about what you do, and definitely enjoy life along the way. There's just so many good things in life to experience and appreciate it. Don't get so focused on making the money that you forget to live life, because there's a lot of good experiences out there that you should partake and enjoy. So if I went tomorrow, I would be very happy with my life, because I've traveled the world. I'm a person of modest means, but I have been afforded the opportunity and blessed to see parts of the world that I never thought I would see, meet people from around the world, try to learn about their cultures and get a different perspective, and it's really good stuff. It's really good stuff. So, you know, make the money, hustle, but also enjoy your life.
Yeah, I think I'd piggyback on that. It's just living the life that you want. I think oftentimes we may acquire things or do things like, is this what I want? Is this what my mom wants for me? Or is this what my friends want for me? So have the courage to live the life that you want, that makes you happy, and that makes you fulfilled.
Well, let's give the panelists a round of applause. We go into these sessions every time trying to determine how we're going to find another set of amazing panelists. And